So the License Committee will not need to meet tonight. We have no business, and we'll meet at the next appropriate time.
I'd like to call Public Works Committee order at 7 o'clock. I have a few items tonight. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve the inter-municipal agreement by and between the town of Mansfield and the city of Attleboro for municipal water service in certain portions of Mansfield, Massachusetts.
Second.
So, we all remember when this came down. We've renewed it since like 1940. I don't know if you all got the backup paperwork. It's just the contract, and we've been having our water in Mansfield for a while, so it's nothing new. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to appropriate $112,159.96 from account 6100-359000 Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account 6100-553150 Water Enterprise Fund water meters for meters, fitting, supplies, and one new set of meter reading equipment.
Second.
Thank you. So, we know this has been ongoing forever, but it's going to bring us to 100%. So we will be complete with all the water meters at this point, but Superintendent Allen told me that it doesn't mean that she won't need meters in the future for like new houses, ones that break, ones that age out, so on and so forth. So, does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to appropriate $65,000 from account 6100-359000 Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account 6100-521006 Water Enterprise Fund sewer services to replenish funds used in various accounts for emergency work, increased cost in CDL training, well maintenance, and vehicle maintenance.
Second.
Thank you. So this was a myriad of things that were, she couldn't wait for the council to get a vote through. So she took it out of their fund, and they're just trying to replenish it. Does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to appropriate $100,000 from account 6100-359000 Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account 6100-582516 Water Enterprise Fund plant improvement to fund the replacement of traveling screens at the West Street plant.
Second.
Thank you. So these screens are from the original 1990s from the plant. So I guess let me just find. Yep, so they're from the mid-1990s, and I guess it's like a conveyor belt system, and the links that hold the screens in are failing. Everything's failing. The whole system is rotted, and it's been on the CIP for years. And so the city's crew will be installing this. So I guess it's pretty labor intensive, but they didn't have to sub it out. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve $2,125 to be used towards the increased cost of the Smithco lawn sweeper once the Ferris stand-on leaf blower is purchased at the price less than originally quoted. So, I'm sorry, can I get a second? Thank you. So this, we had approved the purchase of these items, and one came in at less, and one came in at more. So we're basically using, okay, so the next one is going to be where we appropriate $3,900. So the $2,125, they want to use towards the cost of the higher item that came in at less, and then they need an additional $3,900 to complete the purchase. So that's the next motion. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to transfer $3,900 from account 1124100-578380 Citywide Reserve Fund for Capital to account 165010000-585040 Park Equipment for the increased cost of the Smithville lawn sweeper.
Second.
Thank you. So, same as above. Does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Almost there. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to transfer $8,115.47 from account 1124100-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1650100-546010 Park Supplies Ground to purchase fertilizer, lime, and pesticides for the remainder of fiscal year '23.
Second.
So this is, the cost went up on everything, so does anybody have any questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to transfer $8,000 from account 1650100-511000 Park Salary and Wages to account 1650100-524230 Park Vehicle Maintenance to repair the fuel system on a bucket truck and install aluminum truck bed on a pickup truck.
Second.
Thank you. So this is, so I did question him on this because they've gotten new vehicles. So what it is I guess the aluminum bed works better and lasts longer than the original bed that comes with the truck that we purchased for them. So, and it doesn't have sides, and it just helps them with their work, and it's bigger, and they can store tools and so on and so forth. So what's gonna happen is they'll purchase that, and then they'll sell the bed from the other truck. And he said he might even just, it might be a wash at that point. Does anybody have any questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You guys are going easy on me tonight, although I shouldn't speak now, so I'll hold
So
that.
that's it.
From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to appropriate $21,932 from account 1000-359000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1420100-548010 public works gasoline fuel.
Second.
So this and the next one is just to replenish, as we all know, the gas prices went up, so they're gonna need additional funds to make it through the end of the year. And that's the same for the next one, too. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to appropriate $62,835 from account 1000-359000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1420100-548011.
Second.
And the same, we're just replenishing funds for, to make it through the year with gas. Does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And then I have one more, and so this is, oh, you know what? I need to make sure. I'm gonna hold this for now, my next one. I'd like to call for an adjournment at 7:09.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:09. Thank you.
I'd like to call the Finance Committee to meet on order at 7:09. Seated on the committee are Councilors Reynolds and Dolan. I have several measures before you this evening. Starting with, from the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve the expending of such funds and any future grant amendments regarding the receipt of a state legislative appropriation, 1599-6090, in the fiscal year 23 Economic Development Bill, to perform an industrial development strategy. The funds are being administered through the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. I just want to say that this is the result of building relationships between our economic director and state legislature, state senators, and state agencies. This industrial development strategy is potentially going to bring significant tax dollars because we have a split tax rate in the city of Taunton, city of Attleboro, and I would encourage its passage. Any comments or questions?
Nope.
Then I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. For the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to transfer $5,160 from account 114-11000-530895, Assessor Legal Services, to account 114-11000-558110, Assessor Subscriptions, for a 12-month subscription to CoStar beginning March 1st, 2023.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. CoStar is like Zillow to commercial properties. It is akin to the multiple listing service that realtors use for listing and sales. I was on it all day today in Taunton. It's a remarkable database that's updated daily and allows the assessor to pull reports for leasing comps and sales comps for properties that are in the city of Taunton. It's a terrific addition to her repertoire. I'm shocked it hasn't been here before, because I thought that maybe in old days when the assessing was being done by Northeast Valuation, they had CoStar. Now that she's with Vision, I highly recommend that she gets very familiar with CoStar and uses it on a regular basis. So I would encourage the passage of this motion. That concludes my comments. Anyone have anything else? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed unanimously. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to authorize the city to expend $2.5 million of ARPA revenue replacement funds on costs associated with the Attleboro Pawtucket Emergency Water Interconnection Project.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. Anticipating your questions, the Pawtucket project in January 2022 was estimated to cost $2.71 million. $2.701 million. That estimate went up in January of 2023 with an engineering change that brought it up to $2,834,690.02. And then there was an escalation to April 2024. As this project takes longer, everything gets more expensive. So we're up to $3,086,197.89 with a 10% contingency. Gives us a construction budget of $3.394,817.68. In addition, there are modifications to design documents and bidding assistance coming down the road. Some previous agreed upon amendment, which I'm digging into. And there's a remaining purchase order to cover some ground service and real estate fees of $17,582. So the current total for the Pawtucket project is $3.458,799.71. The water superintendent reports that this estimate is below the lower bid than the bid that they received from another vendor earlier. And the contractor, which is Camp Dresser McGee, reported that they're now bidding with less robust variable frequency drives relative to what they originally bid, and it's reducing the cost, and it's also shortening the lead times. If you remember, we bought some variable frequency drives for the sewer department, I think, last year, and the lead time, he says, was 18 to 24 months. So, I don't think this Pawtucket line is coming online in the next 24 months, to be honest with you. The timetable has just blown out because of COVID, they say. But Camp Dresser McGee is famous for engineering time, billing engineering time, after billing engineering time, and then billing more engineering time. I don't think I have to say anything more about that. Anybody have any questions or comments about Pawtucket? Yes.
Didn't we already appropriate some money?
Oh, yes, we have appropriated a lot of money.
What was so is this 2.5 going to cover with the money that we already appropriated plus the 2.5? Do we get to this number?
No.
What are we short? Do you know?
What we've spent so far is when Paul Kennedy was here. Do you remember those days? I think it was 2016 or 17. You might remember. I don't.
It was before Laura
Yeah.
Kennedy.
Right before
Paul
me.
Kennedy came and asked for $500,000 for design, and we gave it to him. That
thought it was
disappeared.
more, yeah.
Right, so the $500,000 disappeared. Then there were some issues about the land taking down there, of who owned what little piece of land. I went down there to look at it and got lost, because it is literally in the middle of nowhere. And so we had to buy some land, and we had to pay some rights. We had to move some things that were on our land that didn't belong on our land, or put up another station, etc. And that was about $800,000 with all of those little things going on. So this is the cost of getting us to the end from now to the future, $3.4 million. And we've already put in somewhere about 1.3.
3.
And there's a ton of little incendiary little fees and charges, $15,000 here, $15,000 there. Well, suddenly it adds up to a lot of money. And
if you do the math, it's another 958,000.
coming down the road, yeah, beyond what operates. So here's the wise thing, is that the federal government is giving us the American Recovery Patriot Act money to be used for infrastructure. This is a valid place to put that money. Since we're getting it from the federal government, let's take the 2.5 and drop it into this project so that we don't have to bond it, which would be a nice thing. And yes, coming down the road, there's going to be another $1 million that's going to have to,
Come some.
and let's hope $1 million covers it,
Right.
Counselor.
Because I think that this, if you don't mind,
Yep, it's your floor.
I think we switched projects. I think this 2.5 was originally supposed to go to PFAS, and then something changed. I remember with the prior administration that it wasn't happening fast enough to use the ARPA money that we needed to use. So we might have to bond for the PFAS and stuff at Wading River, and then not bond for this, if I remember correctly.
We're going to have this conversation again in another 5 minutes, because it's not pleasant the way the federal government says we're going to give you money and then changes midstream on how you can spend it. And that's exactly what they do. So, you're correct, Counselor. At this time, it looks appropriate that the $2.5 million can be dropped into this project, qualifying to be covered by the ARPA money, and that's why we're taking this action. Do not be surprised if a year or 2 years from now, there's a measure in front of the council to say, whoops, they changed the rules and we have to backfill so many dollars to the federal government. That can happen.
Thank you.
It's a real risk. Anything else?
No, because I think that you're right, that they could turn around and say that you have that money still, but you have to use it by such and such a date, and we won't be ready to use it. That's the problem.
Right, I think that's what I remember hearing, that it wasn't fast enough, so we had to like switch projects.
happen again,
Which
yeah.
we need both projects clearly, right?
Yeah.
So it's like potato, but at least we're using it and getting something done. So it's good.
I'm glad you used that word, need, because the water superintendent and I had a conversation today about that, and there is no question that down the road there is going to be an ever-present need, a growing need, for this interconnection with Rhode Island in that area because of climate change or whatever you want to call it, weather pattern changes, and the fact that our system this year in that drought was such a drastic, I mean, I've never seen it like that and could possibly see that happen again in my lifetime.
Right, but just so the public knows that even if we have a drought again, this connection, when it's up and running, is going to be emergency, because we get this up and running, which is great, but we still have to buy every drop of water. So you're still going to have to shut your sprinklers off if we have a drought. It's an emergency.
It's
You
even
need
more
to
serious
drink
than
it.
that. We have an agreement where we guarantee that we're going to buy so many gallons already a year. So we're already on the hook for a water bill to Pawtucket, Rhode Island, once this whole system
up
starts,
and running.
because it only becomes feasible to Pawtucket that they're going to get a cash flow out of it. So that's why it's a very involved project. Yes, Council Blair.
Just a comment. With all the rain we had this fall and whatnot, we are maxed out on storage right now as far as water's concerned. So it doesn't look like there's going to be a problem like we had last year.
Let's hope not.
Well, they're all maxed out. Anything we get here is going over the dam.
Well, that's better than a balloon, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can I?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to belabor this, but I feel like
Yes.
And the only reason is because, and I don't remember the details about a permit, some permit that we got for our water, if anybody can help me out that
You can
remembers.
only pump, so you can only,
So the permit that we signed on to with the state, the rule is if they declare a water emergency, whether we have water or not, we have to have a water ban.
That's right.
So we could be at capacity, and they still require us to have a water ban.
but just remember, Laura, last year, we saw our water areas we get water from with rocks, no water. So we're at a much better place this year
Yeah,
than
fingers
we were
crossed.
last year. Much better.
Yep. All right, I'm
Okay.
done.
So, any other comments, questions? Motion's in order. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve the expending of such funds and any future grant amendments regarding the receipt of the fiscal year 23 municipal ADA improvement grant through the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Office of Disability on behalf of the Secretary of the Executive Office of Administration and Finance of a maximum amount of $87,000 to bring the city's signage into ADA compliance.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. So, there was a signage plan that was distributed to the councilors 2 or 4 weeks ago, which opened up my eyes about the science of signs. It is, it never occurred to me that a disabled person at a lower height could miss signs. It just never occurred to me. And that there are special circumstances of signage for the disabled that keeps them safe that we don't have. So this, I think, is the first step in a citywide ADA compliance program that's coming down the road. It's inevitable. It's happened in other communities. It's going to happen in this community. And I would encourage the passage of this motion. And that concludes my comments. Anyone else have anything to say? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed unanimously. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to accept the $1,233,000 Bristol County ARPA allocation in the form of a grant pursuant to the terms and conditions of the grant agreement for the purchase of various ARPA-eligible wastewater equipment to include a Vector sewer truck, water booster system, and 2 generators, including installation.
Second.
I heard Councilor Dolan first, you were asleep.
Oh,
at
okay,
the
no
switch.
worries. I didn't hear her.
Didn't want to leave you hanging.
Well, this is a way to get a Vector truck. Get
Yeah.
federal money to pour in and buy it for us.
But it's,
But it's a grant.
they finally did get that Vector truck running down there. They had a lot of trouble with that sewer department, but I think they got it squared away.
Well, this will get them a new one.
Yeah.
And, I don't have anything more to say. This has been going on forever.
The terms and the conditions of the grant agreement, is there any payback or partial payment on it, or
No,
what?
no, not to my
Okay.
knowledge.
All right, thank you.
I do have a memo here from Deborah Gould, our auditor.
Yeah, it shouldn't be if it's ARPA, right?
If it's ARPA money, it should be should be approved.
Okay,
Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed unanimously. On the docket of January 3rd, I entertain a motion to appropriate $195,843.41 from the general fund undesignated free cash account, number 1000-35900, to Fund 2421, COVID FEMA Fund, to cover COVID-related emergency expenses not covered by the COVID FEMA grant.
second.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. I'd like to read to you, just to refresh your memories and to inform the public watching the proceeding, this section from the mayor's communication that explains this motion. That the mayor, let's see, requested this because of the notification from the city auditor, Deborah Gould, regarding the need for an appropriation into Fund 2421 COVID FEMA to cover a deficit in this fund. As you know, at the beginning of the pandemic, the city was advised that certain emergency pandemic-related expenses, included but not limited to personal protective equipment and personal time related to COVID, would be partially eligible for reimbursement from the federal government through a FEMA grant. Until late in fiscal year 22, the city continued to believe that the personal protective equipment and time associated with backfilling public safety employees charged to the FEMA grant would be reimbursed at 100%, based on further changes to the grant announced in January of 2021. Ultimately, that was not the case, as the city has received a final FEMA reimbursement on this FEMA grant in the amount of $36,865.59, leaving $195,843.41 of emergency COVID-related expenses that were not covered by the federal grant. So that's why we have this motion in front of us, and that's exactly what I was referring to previously. But I think it's clear. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. I'd like to remind you that we have a public hearing for the capital improvement plan, your favorite nightly reading. Are you all getting good sleep going through the plan? So please be aware that February 21st we have a public hearing, and following that, we're going to have to come up with a communication to the mayor on how we would like, and I have some ideas already. So if you have some, please share them. And that concludes the business. Oh, one last thing. I entertain a motion to strike the following. From the docket of October 4th, 2022, request for the treasurer, auditor, and VP of finance to appear in front of the finance committee on September 27th, 2022 for updates.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. Obviously ready to strike it. It's been on my docket for almost a year. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. That concludes the business that I have to bring before you this evening. Thank you for your participation. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, I declare the council, the finance committee adjourned at 7:29. Thank you.
Transportation and Traffic Committee is canceled for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. I'd like to call Public Safety Emergency Management to order at 7:29? I can't see that. 7:30. Thank you. We have a number of motions this evening, most of them self-explanatory. For the docket of February 21st, 23, I entertain a motion to appropriate $34,856.08 from account 1-000-359000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to the following. $14,800 to account 1-210-100-532010 Police Academy tuition, $4,668.60 to account 1-201-000-558208 Police Supplies, $10,000 to account 1-210-100-558310 Police Uniforms, and $5,387.48 to account 1-210-000-530104 Police Medical Consultations.
Second.
This money is necessary to send some boys to the, and ladies to the police academy. Pretty self-explanatory, we need the money to send them. It's getting harder and harder. I'm going to say this one time because it follows through with a lot of these appropriations. We're not paying enough money, and we don't have the Quinn bill enacted back yet. It's getting difficult and more difficult every single day to hire police officers. We had a gentleman last week that was scheduled to start the police academy, and the night before he called and said, "Nah, my wife says it's not worth it for my name." We probably spent $10,000 on this gentleman. So I personally, before my year is up here, would like to see some stuff put into effect that we can properly hire the best of what's out there instead of scraping the bottom of the barrel. We should be looking to have the best of the best in Massachusetts. I'll say no more. That ends my comments. Any comments on this particular item?
How many recruits can go to the academy for $38,856?
Originally, I believe it was 7. I don't know if it's been knocked down or not. I had a call into the chief today, and we just didn't connect, so.
And this is still, if I may, this is still through the civil service
Yeah.
program,
Yeah.
which, is there any movement to jettison that program in Attleboro?
Well, I've called enough, and every time I see him, I remind him, Senator. But between you, the lamppost, and the people around this council, we're not getting much action out of Boston.
Right.
Okay. This isn't actually what we proposed. It wasn't to jettison the complete civil service. It was to change the hiring practice. So we could hire on our own, basically. They'd be on probation, say, for a year, but it takes a year to put the gentleman on, a lady on the street by herself. So that doesn't even come into effect, but it gives us the shot to say, nah, we've tried you and you're not working, without going back through civil service, which is an impossibility, I understand.
Well, Peter, I'll say that, we're coming up in budget time, and I've already placed a call to the chief, who I think has been bashful and shy to ask for the appropriations that he needs in salaries to outfit his crew.
You must
particular-
be echoing my
Well, in
conversation.
particular, the traffic control unit was a pet project of mine that I
Yeah.
wanted to see finished. You know, we've been limping along, trying to feed it bits and pieces, and let it grow. And I said, will you please put your foot down on this budget and finish it and fund it, and let's have a real traffic control unit. And he agreed, and I checked with the mayor, and it did get up into the mayor's office, so I'm hoping that we're going to see a sizable increase in the police budget this year to accommodate the traffic control unit, and these recruits may be part of that effort.
I would hope so, because that's basically, Councilor Connie, my concerns is funding that department properly.
I agree.
And it does need an increase appropriations in salary, in training, and it's time, because let's not get the best of the worst, let's get the best of the best over there. And the way we do that is make it feasible for recruits to come to Attleboro without the feeling they're going to be here for a couple of years and then they're going. And that's what we're seeing now. So I'm all on board with you with that, Mr. Conti. They come down with a bigger budget, it's okay with me. I think it's money well spent. And it actually, in my opinion, looking the figures over, every time you lose a man, you lose $100,000. Because you got to replace him. It costs you, right now it costs you probably in excess of $100,000 to replace him.
But not only are you losing the $100,000, you're using a 1-year lead time of that work productivity that
Correct.
that person was doing,
Correct.
because it takes an entire year to get the replacement up to speed to replace that person.
Right. So I think we should take a hard look at it this year, and I'd like to see some things done before I leave this semicircle.
I've done my part.
And I think I've done my part for the last 24 years. So I'd like to see it get done. Any other comments or questions on this? Yes, Diane?
Thank you. I know both Councilor DeSimone and yourself, you introduced that new business. I mean, I do feel like we have tried to make it easier for hires, and it just seems like this problem that exists with onboarding and maintaining officers. It's upsetting to see, and we do invest a lot, and it's upsetting to see people leave. So.
Well, it's been done between Kathleen and I. We did propose that. It went to the Senate. It is sitting on somebody's desk up there, and they don't care. I'm sorry to say it that abruptly, but they don't care about us down here and our problems with hiring. They're more concentrated on protecting civil service. And I think we went out of our way with this home rule asking that it didn't abolish civil service. It just made it easier for us to hire than it is right now. And I don't know, you're getting me wound up a little. I'm at the point I should be calming down. Okay. Yes, Mr.
Yeah, Peter, I just want to echo your frustration. I think it was a great idea that we had, that Chief Agnew had, and the fact that it's sitting there is incredibly frustrating. I share that.
I bust that senator's butt every time I see him anywhere about this particular matter, and I'm not shy about it. So, anyway, let's get this one out of the way. Any more questions? Or, time to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. From the docket of February 12th, 2023, I entertain a motion to appropriate $126,519.20 from account 1-000-359-000 undesignated funds balance free cash general government to account 12201-000-511-000 fire salary and wages to replenish funds used to make an earned time payment to an employee who retired.
Second.
Pretty self-explanatory. We got to have one employee or more that retired, and we owe them the money. I think that fund that we've, in the process of putting together, will stop these from coming down. At least they'll have a bank to go to. Yes, Mr. Klein?
It's gonna give us a place to get the money from. I mean,
Yeah.
admittedly, to get a check for $126,519 when you retire is a nice little
change.
goodbye gift.
Yeah.
The problem is that it's happening more and more frequently because,
Well-
the people who are retiring are people who like to work. The people who are coming in and replacing them don't want to do the work.
You're absolutely correct.
Right.
So, I mean, this isn't dollar for dollar either. Some of these things are, the vacation time is vacation time.
It's earned and it's theirs. It's really,
Yes.
their income.
And
Yeah, I can't deny that.
we're lucky to have employees like that. that
Exactly right.
Come in every day and don't cost us overtime to replace them.
Correct.
You know, you look at this figure, $126,000. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those are in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. From the docket of February 21st, 2020, 2023, I entertain a motion to replenish funds used to purchase uniforms for 5 recruit firefighters and 1 civil dispatcher, and transfer $2,700 from account 1220100-587385 fire retrofit lights to account 1220100-558211 fire Scott air pack.
Second.
We're replenishing funds that we've already used in an account, so it's pretty self-explanatory. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve expending such funds and any future grant amendments by the Attleboro Fire Department regarding the receipt of the FY 2023 Student Awareness of Fire Education SAFE Grant and the FY 2023 Senior SAFE Grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in the amount of $7,958.
Second.
There is no matching money for this grant. Any questions? It's about education, educating our elderly and our students. All those in favor?
Aye.
3-0, motion passes. From the docket of January 3rd, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve the following loan order. That $475,000 be appropriated for the cost of purchasing and equipping an ambulance. To meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow $475,000 under Section 7-1 of Chapter 44, General Laws, or any other enabling authority, and that the mayor is authorized to take any other action necessary to carry out this project.
Second.
Just a little update. I talked to the fire chief today. At this point, we actually have 5 ambulances laying around throughout the city. They range from a 2020 to a 2008. We put roughly 25,000 miles a year on our frontline ambulances. We have one on order. Richard, I think it goes back a little over 2 years that we approved it. We don't have it yet. The one we're asking for to be bonded, we won't see till 2025. That's forward thinking. We can't wait till 2025 to order one. And we won't be paying on this ambulance till 2025. So it's all in the channel, been approved, we can order it, and it's taken well over 2 years to get one. We cannot sit with an ambulance they're not junk, don't get me wrong. The last two might be. But the 3 frontline ambulances we use, they're not junk, they're well maintained, and they're safe. I don't want the public out there to think we're operating with unsafe equipment. But in order to keep it safe, we gotta think ahead. And this is thinking ahead so that we can keep these ambulances rotating. Just a little background. Some 24 years ago, I can remember approving a purchase of an ambulance, and we were arguing with Sturdy to pay for it. It didn't work. But that was under $100,000, am I correct?
For that.
Yeah, I remember Rotary purchasing an ambulance and giving it to the city.
Yeah.
And they can't afford to do that now. I mean,
No. I mean, this is a much more advanced unit than we were talking back then with the life-saving equipment on it and the cost of everything, but,
that's the equivalent of 4 Corvettes.
yeah. I don't like a Corvette anyway. If there's any other questions, I'd be more than happy to get an answer for you, but I'd like to vote this out of committee tonight and get it to the floor.
I just have one question
Sure.
about the previous one that was ordered about 2 years ago. Do
Yeah.
we have an anticipated delivery date for that yet?
You know something? I really didn't ask him. He wasn't too happy when I was talking to him to start with. He said, I more or less said I was disappointed you didn't show up at the public hearing. And he said something about, I won't go into it. All right, I'll let it lie. But he wasn't happy about actually me questioning him, the need for it. So I sort of said, okay, chief, I hear where you're coming from. If the councilors would like you to come before the council, he said, I'd be more than happy to come before him. But I really don't think you want to hear from him. All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, that was my hard one for the evening. From the docket of January 3rd, 2023, I entertain a motion to remove the fee permit issued for underground propane storage to residential sites. CMR 5271.0, Table 1.1, 2.8, as a requirement to pay a fee and fill out a permit. It also references Ordinance 6-5 Fire Prevention Fee Schedule.
Second.
I think we heard from a couple neighbors, and I was a little astonished that we had residents paying a fee for something that they didn't give service for. So, with all due respect, I think this is something that should be struck from that ordinance.
Same.
Yes, Mr. Conklin?
So, if you recall, sitting in the fire department, when the fire department was being reorganized to bring in 3 additional fire captains, the chief and the mayor made a deal that all fire department fees would be raised to the maximum state level to be able to fund the new personnel, and that the ambulance fee would rise to, and I remember this, $4,285 per trip. And
That's, excuse me, Richard, but that 4,000 some odd dollars you said, right? That's if a lot of equipment was used on that person in the ambulance.
so what I'm saying is that the reason why there is a underground propane storage fee is because the fire department needed it to balance their books. Let's not hide the reason why there's a propane fee.
That money went into the general fund, did not go back to the fire department for any use in the fire department.
So
paid to the
so the
general-
deal was made that if we're going to have to budget the extra personnel in the fire department, that there would have to be something to feed back to the city into the budget.
I know,
to
they
be
were
able to-
looking for
That's
outfits
exactly
to
right.
raise money.
I just wanted all the councils to know why there's a propane storage tank fee in the city of Attleboro.
I think it could buy a lot of us on the council at that time. I wouldn't have voted for it if I thought it was
I've been paying for it for like 12 years, so.
I would
It's
have,
been quite a while.
I wouldn't have voted for it myself if I knew it was a fee that wasn't being charged and they weren't getting a service for it.
Yeah, I think when we did it, we all thought there was a service for it.
Yeah.
We thought that there was going, I remember it coming out, but I also said, it said there was a talk about inspection, and that obviously has not ever happened, so.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we're beating a dead
we're all like
horse.
really distressed about it, and the answer is get it off the books.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Blair, just procedurally, the way this currently reads, it says to look into the annual fee. Before, I think you vote it out of committee, I think we'll need to reword it to amend the ordinance.
Why don't I have to, that was my intent, was to amend the ordinance. Why don't I have whoever seconded, pull this second, we'll rewrite it. I'll call
Perfect.
for a committee meeting next week at 6:45, and we'll vote it out the proper way.
Okay, I'll pull
Sounds
my
good.
second.
Thank you. Take care of that, Mr. Acting President. Where was I?
That was it.
That's it. Call for an adjournment at
7:51.
7:51.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
IT and Infrastructure Committee's canceled this evening. I'll call Zoning and Land Use Committee to order at 7:52. I want to just discuss one motion this evening. From the docket of January 4th, 2022, I entertain a motion to amend zoning ordinance 17 to allow accessory dwelling units on qualifying residential properties.
Second.
Thank you. I forwarded an email earlier this evening that had to do with the planning board's comments back in November. They're going to be voting on it again because we had an additional public hearing, so that vote, I believe, is going to take place February 27th. I just want to make sure, so that's going to be next Monday, or a couple weeks away. So February 27th, they will be voting on it again. I spoke to Gary, who believes that it's probably going to be pretty similar. The major change that they wanted to see made was changing it from in-law apartments to accessory dwelling units. When I reached out to ask about this, the planning department, accessory suites. Suites is how they worded it. That was the email that I had forwarded. And when I asked about that, they had said they felt like the language opened it up. So in other words, you could have a college student that was your child living in this unit, or like they felt like in-law was too specific in terms of what this could be, and that this kind of opened up the definition a little bit. And he does anticipate that the vote will be similar. But the reason why I wanted to start the discussion tonight was to see if we wanted to invite Gary to a committee meeting, or if there were any other questions you wanted me to research before we can then kind of proceed right after that vote from the planning department.
Well, I think, if I may,
Yes.
that getting him in is good because I'm dead set against this right now. So if I'm going to be switched over to a yes vote, I need some positive information to convince me to change my vote. You're moving it farther into my dislike by going from in-law to accessory apartments. You know, I could see granting an in-law apartment if there was a special permit that was required, and that the permit had to be renewed every 5 years, and that if the permit was not renewed, that the in-law apartment disappears, that is no longer valid. The problem that we have is that there's a gross neglect of in-law apartments to convert single-family homes into two families or even three-family homes, because they add these accessory apartments to single-family homes, and it changes the complexion of a neighborhood from a single-family home neighborhood to a multifamily neighborhood, and then suddenly you have everybody living in the neighborhood except the landlords who have moved up to the Cape because they're making so much money renting out their apartments. And as a result, the neighborhood goes down. This is, I've seen this happen in Taunton. I've seen it happen in other communities. And I understand the pressure for housing. Trust me, I'm a realtor, I'm not an assessor. I see it every day. But it has to be managed properly. And moving it to an accessory apartment and opening up even wider makes me dislike it even more. So anything you can do to bring in everybody to convince Mr. Conti that this is a good thing for the city of Attleboro, because right now I do not think that it is.
Okay. Councilor Bennett, because you're on the committee, then Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you. Respectfully, I think the language in here is actually quite protective of what the intent is here. I think it says things like no more than one in-law, and it uses the language in-law in the current draft. No more than one in-law apartment shall be permitted in a one-family detached dwelling unit. I think things like that kind of preclude that fear that this develops into maybe there's multiples, maybe this turns into something more than it is. I also think, I thought the comments at the public hearing were very thoughtful, and I think that there is an appetite to have this, and I think COVID showed us that there's some cracks in our current structure. Historically, we've had them, and yes, there's been some abuses, but I think the language here is going down the road of maybe preventing those abuses in the future. And so I'm in favor of this from a general standpoint. Whether it comes down to what we call it, being an issue or something that needs to be worked out, I'm perfectly comfortable taking the time to make sure we get that right on the books.
Okay, thank you. Councilor DeSimone and Councilor Conti.
Yeah, so obviously I fully support it in as much as you and I submitted it. I do not share the fear, and oftentimes when these things are introduced, this is exactly the response you get, that people are afraid. When in reality, there's not a lot of people who are necessarily going to do this. You have to have the money to make the addition to your home, so it's not like these things are going to pop up all over the place, but I agree with Council Bennett that the draft that I proposed, and I believe the draft we're going to get back from the planning board, is thoughtful and mindful that the owner has to be occupied. Let me say this. There are other ways in which, Council Conti, right now, people can legally use their homes for other purposes. For example, recovery, sober houses. You cannot regulate a sober house. My house could turn into a sober house right now, and there's absolutely nothing you could do about it. So, and that's no knock on sober houses at all, but my point is, you never really ultimately control who your neighbors are anyway, at the end of the day. Even if it's an in-law apartment, you don't know what those in-laws are. People with issues, let's be honest, neighbors are the luck of the draw all the time, in the best of circumstances. So I do not share any fears about this. It is absolutely necessary on both ends of the equation for people looking for affordable places to live and for those who may be looking to generate extra income. It's 2023. I think we need to do this. I think we can do it carefully and thoughtfully, and I look forward to doing it.
Thank you.
So to Councilor Bennett's point, the language is right. The problem is creep and enforcement, and that's typically what falls down in the communities that adopt in-law apartments, and that's why in-law apartments are banned in the majority of communities in Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The creep and the lack of enforcement comes in that people forget to reinforce their special permit, or the in-law person there dies and they see that there's a ready way to get income, and moves a college student paying rent, or two college students or three college students sharing the rent, and the homeowner gets addicted to the income. So, and I see that. Then when the homeowner sells the house, and the realtor goes in and says, well, we've got an in-law, so look, this is great. You can be a first-time home buyer, you can get this house, and you can rent out the apartment with no respect to what the ordinance says. And that's what happens, is that the real estate salespeople don't read the ordinance. They don't promote the property properly. Then people buy the property under a false pretense, and there's a real problem. And in the city of Taunton with 13,862 single-family homes, we have exactly 168 illegal in-law apartments. And I've seen firsthand the issues when the properties change hands, and suddenly the new homeowner gets a order of condition from the building inspector because the apartment is being rented out and the property is now a two-family, and it's not a single-family home anymore. And now he's got a big mortgage, and he thought he was counting on that rental income, and suddenly he can't have it. So that's a huge problem. So the consequences are muddy, Counselor. The language is fine if that's the way everything goes together. And I do think that it should be a consideration. That's why I second the motion. You know, let's talk this out. Let's have this display. Let's get some public input, and let's let democracy run. But I'm still sitting here not liking it.
Thank you. Councilor Dolan and then Councilor Renner.
So we did have a public hearing, and I think one person showed up, Joe Caponegro, who had some really good points. And like you said, I support this, and I think when you're talking about the realtor not telling, that's on the realtor. The realtor is supposed to disclose things, and the home buyer is supposed to research things. Right now, and I can't be 100% certain on this, but in-laws now, people have in-laws now. I lived in an in-law, and one of the major stipulations is the exit. That you have to be connected to the main house. So you have to have a door to the main house. That's the biggest stipulation. So I have no problem if there is a special permit process. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with it having to be owner occupied. Again, with the realtor, that's on them. That's, realtors also don't tell you, hey, by the way, you live in a bowl and it's going to flood like crazy when it rains. They don't tell you that either until you get there and you bought it and it rains and, you're swimming. So, I completely support this. There is a need for it, like Councilor Bennett said, and I think it was written thoughtfully. And again, I have no problem owner-occupied, special permit, inspections every couple years to make sure everything's on the up and up, but I believe there is a need for it, and I don't think we should deny people to have family members or whatever living in an in-law apartment, because I know when I was buying my house, I saw two houses that had in-laws, and it wasn't really, then they tell you it's not really an in-law, but you have your own kitchen, your own bathroom, your own entrance, blah, 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 but you're attached to the house. So it's already happening, and I don't see I don't see a big boom in people building additions so that they can rent it out. I don't see that happening. I could be wrong. You could come back to me in 10 years and point your finger at me and say, I told you so, but as of right now, the way that this is written, I completely support it.
To Councilor Dolan's point, I don't think realtors are running around, giving legal advice to potential buyers, and if they are, they probably shouldn't be. Buyers do have to do their own due diligence to know what's allowed in the town or the city that they're moving to, and they're thinking of buying property in. But also, we have to keep in mind too that there's sort of larger things at play here. We have housing prices at historic highs. We've got education costs at historic highs. We have a lot more college graduates moving home to be with their parents, to help take care of. We have the sandwich generation, right? That's taking care of their kids and raising their kids and taking care of their parents at the same time. We have all these sort of social things emerging at the same time, and we just came out of a pandemic. So I think if there was ever a prime time to seriously consider doing this and doing this right, now is it. And I think we're on the right path here.
Thank you for the comments. Anyone else? I would agree with your statements and Councilor Dolan's statements. This is to build a structure so we can make sure that when it's happening, because it is happening, that it is in a safe way. If there's a lot of split level homes that people are building kitchens that have a stove that's this close to the city, we want to be able to the city should be involved in this to make sure that it's happening in a safe fashion. So it's already happening, I think, and this gives an avenue to make it a little bit safer. So So Conti?
I think I also should add that we are taking measures to cover the demand in housing. We've added 446 apartments in the downtown area in the last 4 years. That is a tremendous amount of improvement. The Massachusetts Governor, Charlie Baker, changed the ordinance that anyone within a half a mile from the train station in Attleboro can develop their house into a two-family house without even asking for a special permit or a variance. It's by right. You can take any house within a half a mile from the train station and convert it from a single family into a two-family. All you have to do is take out a building permit. And then additionally, down in South Attleboro, I forget how many units are being put in at the
325.
Atlantic Golf Course.
325,
How many?
325.
325 apartments down at the Atlantic Golf Course. So I see the city developing a lot of housing on a regular basis, in addition to the housing subdivisions that we see popping up like Pleasant Street and throughout the city. So I think the city is accommodating the housing needs quite well. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Counselor Dolan?
Yes, I believe, we have a lot of apartments going up, and I'm not sure what percentage. I feel like it's relatively small, especially, like, I know the ones on Union Street that have, like, 3 tiers of, what's affordable and what's not. I mean, I don't know what the one in South Attleboro,
They're high.
market rate?
Yeah, they're
Market
high.
rate, so, to Councilor Bennett's point, that's if Meme wants to live alone. If she can live alone, right? If she can't, she'd rather live upstairs from her granddaughter, who can take care of her, as opposed to paying $3,000 a month to live alone. And then you have college students who come home, again, to Council Bennett's point, who, no college, well, I mean, I guess there could be, but I would think it's a pretty small percentage of children coming out of college, adults, being able to afford market rate housing. We all know how much the rent, I mean, they're over my mortgage at this point. I mean, it's insane. So I think there's a different element to an accessory unit for Meme or for your college, son or daughter or whatever. I think that's a completely different animal, and you have to be able to live on your own and afford those apartments. And I think it's great that we have so many coming, and it's going to help people. But I think this is a different animal that fulfills different needs.
Counselor Waterman and then Counselor Blake.
Thank you. Well, I agree. We are putting up a lot of apartments, and that is reaching the people who can afford them, and the price is going up. I was talking to the outreach workers down at the senior center recently and was told that by far the greatest percentage of calls they get is housing, and seniors are calling in and just crying out for places to live. And that is where I hope what we're talking about today, Councillor Holmes, can reach and help some of those folks. So there are different tiers of people who can afford different things. And there's still a lot of people in need in this city.
Thank you. Counselor Blake?
Let's take a quick road back, and you touched on it. Our senior citizens out there, I hope one of my kids takes me in a few years. Right? Dad who? No. It's a disaster for elderly people today. I feel fortunate to be able to stay in my house at this point. And, hopefully I make it another 10 years and that's where I leave from. But that's not reality today. Reality is people that worked and earned a living up till now or retired 10 or 15 years ago, they're hurting. None of us thought that things would escalate the way they have escalated as far as cost of living. So this should help a certain number and definitely going to help our elderly citizens.
Yeah.
Definitely. If they have a child, a grandchild that has a home and there's a place that can be either added on or built at a reasonable cost. You're not paying land, there's a lot of costs that have already been taken care of. So you can put up a unit and put mom and dad in there, and if they can scrape up $500,000 a month, that'll cover the nut. And it helps our elderly people and the college kids coming home. Most college kids coming home have got a mortgage over their head already with college loans, so.
Councilor Angela,
Thank you. Yeah, any kid, we're going to be losing, I mean, not that, it gets a little bit away from your point, but we're going to be losing any kids that are moving out from our houses. And right now, I'm actually losing a daughter that's moving out because there's no way she can afford Attleboro, so she's going to move to Woonsocket instead. Because there is nothing affordable here. And all these new things coming up, unless you're Chapter or Section 8, there is nothing affordable. And I don't see anything affordable coming in. So one, that's a big issue, and maybe this will help a little bit, going to, all you guys' points, that this will help a little bit, and then, and then my other point is I plan on moving into Council Blair's in-law apartment.
I have guest quarters.
Yes, quarter.
Yeah, so thank you, Council Waterman. So one of the reasons, I don't know about you, Diana, but one of the reasons I submitted this, actually there were two. Number one, this was discussed in the 2012 Comprehensive Plan. So this idea is not new. It's 2023. Municipalities have done this all over the place. It's not new. But when I saw it, I decided, yeah, that should be happening. And the second primary reason was exactly for the senior population. AARP endorses this idea as a way for seniors to live in an affordable way and to make an income in the houses that they may currently own. So that is a primary driving factor for me, as is all the other reasons discussed by the other counselors. So I'm looking forward, because there was a modified version after this one that's a little bit different. I personally might propose some tweaks when it actually comes up for discussion. But for all those reasons and more, and particularly for the seniors, we absolutely have to adopt this sooner than later. It not only increases housing stock, it's also a question of diversity and density, and it accomplishes all of those objectives.
Thank you. Does anyone else have one? So what I will do is I will wait for the planning, I'll let the committee know, we're going to wait for the planning board to come out with their decision, which we anticipate to be pretty similar, and then I will invite Gary to the next committee meeting after that. How does that sound?
Good.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? So that will be the timeline for this. So I think, like I said, I think it's February 27th is their meeting. We'll have the decision soon after that, and then the next committee meeting, I'll invite Gary so he can answer any specific questions we have. That's all the business this evening, and I'll call for an adjournment.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 8:13. Thank you.
I'd like to call to order the City Property and Claims Committee at 8:13. And I only have two matters that I'm bringing out this evening. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve a 42-month lease agreement with Conica Minolta for 13 copiers to be deployed throughout the Attleboro School District.
Second.
Thank you. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. They're always on leases. Any other questions or concerns?
No.
No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that measure passes. From the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve a 36-month lease and service agreement between the City of Attleboro and Axion Business Technologies for a Toshiba 2520 AC copier. The lease and service agreement will be funded in full by Community Development Block Grant.
Second.
Thank you. Again, it's a 36-month lease. That's the way we usually do the business here, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Any concerns or questions?
Nope.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes. And that is all the business City Property and Claims Committee has this evening, and I would like to call for an adjournment.
Second.
Thank you. We will adjourn. Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 8:14.
All right. I'll call to order Personnel Veterans Human Services Committee at 8:14. Members of the committee is myself, Council Waterman, and Council Blair. All right, from the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve expending such funds Any future grant amendments regarding the award of the council, Attleboro Cultural Council fiscal year '23 allocation from the Massachusetts Cultural Council in the amount of $37,900 with no matching requirement.
Second.
This is obviously something pretty good, and it's no matching, so we don't have to worry about it. And I think this is a great thing. Any questions?
I'd just like to say that I think this is very well used in our city, that our arts and our theater groups are growing. I know I'm part of the Attleboro Community Theater, and this helps with their budget. And it's a wonderful way to diversify our city and strengthen our city through the arts and culture.
All right, any others? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, aye.
Aye,
All right, motion passes. All right, from the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve the Attleboro Crossing Guards Association MOA for fiscal years 2024 to 2026.
Second.
It's contractual. So I think that's about it. Any questions?
It doesn't say, I don't understand. So, sorry, it's just to approve the Crossing Guard Association for.
Yeah, it was the contract that was voted on, and
It doesn't, the motion doesn't say that though, does it? Am I?
well, there's some information in the package that were given. Article 3, hours of work, Section 4, eliminate last section, add at the pre-season school meeting, all crossing guards must appear in uniform. Right, City of Attleboro and Attleboro Crossing Guards Association hereby agrees, subject to ratification by the membership and appropriation by the municipal council.
Okay.
And it's Article 4, wages effective July 1st, 2023, 3% COLA. Applied to the schedule July 1st, 2024, 3% COLA. The salary schedule July 1st, 2025, a 2% COLA will be applied to the salary schedule. If you have any other, I can hold it off and,
I think that that's fine. It's just the motions
Yeah,
doesn't
sure.
say any of the,
right.
what we're approving. I don't know if anybody else reads it that way. but-
No, I understand what you're saying.
In the process, would you place a call to Chief Higney and have a discussion about the level of pay for crossing guards, which I think is insufficient to keep the team staffed? One of the chief's largest problems is the constant replacement of crossing guards. He has a very hard time getting people to take the job. And then when he does get them, he has to outfit them with the professional equipment, which I completely agree with. Those people, some of them are in very dangerous situations. And the crossing guards that I've had conversations with all tell me the same thing. If there's ever an accident in front of them, they're gonna quit. Because, you know, they're not getting compensated for that kind of stress. And I agree.
Yeah.
So I think the Social Security Administration allows retired persons to earn $9,300 a year. You'll have to research that. I don't know that that's factual. But I would like to see crossing guards starting salaries at $9,300 a year. And I know that, you know, we're not the people who negotiate the memorandum of agreement with and that's the mayor's job.
Yeah.
But I think I would like to send a message from the personnel committee that the crossing guard problem could be solved if we paid them.
Yeah.
And we're not paying them enough. And since they're all retired, almost all retired, why not let them flesh out their maximum benefit without any consequences? And then if, you know, they stick around, okay, maybe they're gonna have to pay taxes on a little bit because they're gonna get 3% increases, but the base salary needs to be adjusted, and that concludes my comments.
The new committee on classification, at some point, will be addressing that. I mean, I'll talk to Chief Hegney and get some information for you. That'll be getting addressed in after that'll come up for the first part of what's going to get addressed And then hopefully we're gonna be getting to that. That's not addressed at the moment, but I will talk to Chief Hegney and,
So if there's many pokers in the fire, it'll continue to flame. So if we get the compensation team and you and me
Yeah.
all pushing for this to happen, I think it's got a possibility.
all right.
And for the record, I'm in. My mother was a crossing guard when I was growing up, and it was a great job. She actually had union benefits that she still has. But I will tell you this, it was not nearly as dangerous as it is now. I've talked to crossing guards, and some of them have almost been hit. So crossing kids on some of these roads in Attleboro is a dangerous job, and I do think they should be fairly compensated for the work that they do.
And I think at some points I've personally noticed we've had some police officers out there, maybe because some couldn't show up.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that if the crossing guard doesn't show up, now you're paying with benefits $62.50 an hour to be there. Now the crossing guard's only earning $15.20.
Yeah. And we're hiring for one right now.
Right.
Yeah. So we're obviously short. Councilor Holmes?
Thank you. So I'm not on the committee, but I think the motion should read, I entertain a motion to approve the Attleboro Crossing Guard Association MOA to include a 3% COLA for fiscal year 2024 to 2026.
Right.
I can't make that amendment, but I feel like that's what the motion should read.
Yeah, I mean, now, can I read it that way, or do I need to just put it back in?
Move to amend, no? It's still pending. Your motion's on the floor?
It's-
I can't, but I'm not on the committee, but I could do it in the full
So
council.
somebody in your committee can make that amendment.
Yeah, but, may I?
Sure.
That's not the only thing that's in the MOA, though. So you have the MOA for more than 1 year, so it wouldn't just be for the 3%
3 years.
COLA. So it's basically, the way I take this is it's the whole MOA, it's the whole agreement that's in front of you.
All 3 years.
So if you switched it to that, you would only be really approving the first year.
I get it.
Clearly, we don't want to
Okay,
do that.
Thank you. So it's, I'm sorry, I was
No, I
reading
was
this
just amended,
wrong.
no, I know what you mean. So I'd amend it for all 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or we
just
just, if
read
you
the-
read it like this, it's going to cover all your backup.
MOA, because what does MOA actually stand for?
Memorandum of agreement.
Agreement, so that's what that, yeah.
Okay.
It's just like, you know, when they approve the union
I think that's what
contracts.
messed you up, is what did it stand for, the MOA?
Right, no, I understand.
Yeah. So do I reread this and just add that in?
No, you just have to read it
Just
just
read
like
it as
that.
is,
Right.
and it's
As
going
in
to cover the
here, you
whole
mean?
Just as it
MOA.
is right now, because
Yeah.
now we understand what the
Okay,
MOA was.
all right.
Right, I wouldn't
Okay.
change it.
All right, so, well, I've already read it, so read it again, all right. The docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to approve the Attleboro Crossing Guards Association Memorandum of Agreement for fiscal years 2024 to 2026.
Second.
All right. All right, we change that. Okay, I think we got all the questions out of the way. Oh,
No.
Council Waterman?
No, they aren't all out of the way. Councilor Conti, were you simply guessing, or do you know what the salary is?
I pulled that from somewhere, so I've seen it somewhere, and I think the minimum is dependent upon your income and your duration of service in the Social Security Administration, so I'm sure it's complicated. It has to be. It's a Social Security. It's got to be complicated. But it's somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Depends on what you're drawing and what
Exactly,
you've
right,
made.
right,
I mean,
right.
you can make,
And if
So-
you're retired.
so, yeah, if you're retired, your earnings can go up as high as
right.
35 grand a year or something.
Depends when you took Social Security out.
Yeah,
So here's my point, Counselor, is that I wanted the council or the classification committee or the personnel committee or the finance committee to make a point to the administration that the reason why we're having trouble keeping crossing guards is because we're not paying them.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're getting paid a hell of a lot more than we're getting paid by the hour.
Different issue.
Different issue, but it's not enough. And so my thinking was, if there is such a threshold in Social Security that, you know, that you can earn $9,300 tax-free, let's implement that. Let's do that 93, if there's such a thing. I don't know that there is
I
such
don't
a thing.
think there is, Richard, and I've been involved in it a couple of times.
Council Dolan?
Well, I don't know why we keep talking about Social Security, because not everybody's retired.
No.
That's a crossing guard. I know crossing guards that are my age, so it doesn't just apply to that. And I don't think the council can change anybody's salaries, but, I understand your point of feeling that they don't make enough, but again, not every crossing guard is retired.
Councilor Angelo, I'm not prepared to vote for this yet. And if I had to, I'd say no. But I really would like to see this go back to the mayor's office and another look, and at the personnel office as well, before we make this decision.
Well, there's nothing that
it's
can
already
be
been
changed.
decided.
That's not even what's in there.
Negotiated.
It's all negotiated. It's a contract. There's nothing that we could do here that's going to change anything on that. Talking about salaries is a different committee, a different thing
Okay.
that is going to be worked on.
Yeah, it's nothing we
Yeah,
can do, Ty.
Council Angelo, I apologize for bringing the subject up because it's periphery to the motion that's
Yeah.
on the floor. And it distracts everybody's concentration onto a whole nother subject. And I'm fully to blame at that, and I apologize.
Understand?
I did get distracted.
All right. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right. Motion passes. Okay. Let's see. For the docket of February 21st, 2023, I entertain a motion to add grade 6 Assistant Director of Recreation to the exempt classification plan.
Second.
All right, Peter. Thank you, sir. Okay, so this is for the Department of Recreation. A few things. This was supported by the previous administration, and the acting mayor has both supported this. They're basically combining two positions. They're not, this isn't like we're adding on another position. Basically, the person that's already doing this is really already doing it, and I think we all probably figured the person that was assisting Dennis Walsh was probably already that, and it's not really, that's not the case. So this is kind of really making something official that really isn't official. And they're promoting within. And so they're not going out and hiring another person, they're just making it official, and it's only one pay grade increase. It's not like we're going out and having to hire someone else for another $60,000 or $70,000 or whatever. Councilor Dolan.
Yeah, and I think this is part of the succession plan, like Counselor DeSimone always talks about, because Dennis has one foot out the door. So we need the institutional knowledge to be passed on so somebody can take on this role that has a good understanding of what they're doing and what the needs are for the city, so.
And each department has had an assistant, and this is the one department in the city, as far as I know, that doesn't have that, and this makes that official.
Yeah.
Councilor Bennett.
So just to clarify, if this is combining two positions, so we're creating the grade 6 and then that grade, I'm assuming it's a 5, is
Yeah.
going away completely. So it's not really it's adding a grade 6, but it's taking away another position from that office.
Yeah, basically.
It's upgrading
Yes,
the
that's
existing
correct.
position.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're correct. Yep. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Just a comment.
Yep.
Dennis won't have that last toe out of the door till he finishes. He does a great job, and he takes pride in it, and he's gonna be there till the last gun's fired.
Yeah. I think we're lucky to have him. He's done a great job, and he's filling in on the Council on Aging too as well,
Doing
so,
a great job, I understand.
yeah.
And one comment, and we're very lucky to have Tim in
Yes,
his position.
absolutely.
Very lucky.
Absolutely. Yeah, and obviously, he's helping out over there too as well, because as you know, you see him over there, I see him over there.
Right.
And I think we all do that have been over there. Absolutely. Okay, all right. For the docket of February 21, 2023, entertain a motion to transfer $18,573.62 from account 11241-000-578-300 Citywide Reserve Fund transfer to account 11351-000-511-000 accounting salary and wages full-time to begin the hiring process of an assistant city auditor in fiscal year '23.
Second.
Peter, thank you, sir. All right, so we've seen some emails, I think we've all seen some emails from Deb Gould, and we know that she's, this is basically, I think, it's a case the auditor is out. This is an assistant auditor that's going to fill in a place, and obviously this is very important. And this has been going on from what I think is like 2021, and now here it is 2023. And the person will be staying on to help out to get this other person up to speed. And this is everything necessary that needs to be done.
Very busy apartment.
Yeah.
Apartment up there.
Yeah.
Needs a little more help. I felt sorry for Deb a week or so ago when I was up there. That girl's working weekends, nights. She really,
Yeah.
it's very stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. That's all for the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee. We are adjourned at 8:30. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
I call the ordinances committee to order at 8:30. Joining me this evening are Councilors Bennett and Holmes. I'd hope to accomplish 3 things this evening, one of which will be related to the marijuana. Council Bennett, but we'll take that last, so I'll give you time to scoot out. So, starting on page 17, this is pertaining to the proposed municipal parking fee waiver in the library lot. I want to amend the ordinance that Council Wardham and I submitted and then call for a public hearing. Yes, so, do I have to read it in to amend it, Todd, or can I just, I don't have to read it in as a motion, do I?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, wait.
So when we wrote it, I had put the Council of Aging as the department in which the program would live, but I understand by agreement with the Council of Aging and the library that's going to live at the library.
Right.
So in paragraph B, little I just want to change Attleboro Council on Aging to the Attleboro Public Library.
Second.
Thank you. And again, that's by agreement to the parties. I really have I don't think Council Wardham, I really care where it lives, but I'm glad they resolved that. Any other comments or questions about changing that language? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, then second, I'd like to call for a public hearing on this proposed ordinance change for March 21st.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, good. We'll have a public hearing on the proposed amendment on March 21st. All right, moving right along, I'm going to now go to page, this pertains to the proposed parking changes on page, it's in here somewhere. This is going back a while. Did anybody see it? Because I had it and now I lost it. Aha! It's on page 24, at the top of 24. We had the public hearing on October 18th. This is proposing a change in the ordinances to reflect the fact that the administration and the budget director wants to have 17 of the spaces available for lease. You may remember that he reported that those spaces were underutilized. He felt that the city, it would be better if we would lease them and make some money. We waited for the the parking report that recently came out, and I forwarded to the committee comments by Jeremy on that report, and I believe the report itself was forwarded to everybody a week or 2 ago. In a nutshell, Jeremy feels, because he sent comments down this afternoon, that there is still ample parking in the city and that we would be wise and advised to get some income from these spaces because there appears to be other, let me just get his language on this. My takeaway is that there's plenty of parking downtown. I want to free up these 2-hour spaces to be able to see passes and leases for them in the long term. So a way to A, utilize them, and B, generate some revenue for them. Yeah, Council Bennett.
I'm not sure if maybe I'm not remembering the specifics, but I can't recall now what Jeremy cited to say that there was plenty of parking, because the recent parking study that we've received indicates that while there may be parking available, it's just not in the right places all the time, and that there's still parking challenges downtown. So while we're working that out, I'd hate to see the city foreclose the options of changing things up by leasing these spots and now having private whether it's private employers or other private parties using these spaces and taking up these spaces when we're scrounging to find available parking for some of the businesses downtown. So we kind of have, efforts at odds, if
Well,
you
number
will.
one, the genesis of this is that they're underutilized, so they're not being used. So even if there is, although I do want to remind you that the TDI fellow, when she commented on parking last week, she had no problem finding parking. So this idea of is there parking, isn't there parking, it seems very much subjective as to who you talk to, but I think it was Jeremy's opinion, I just rewatched his comments, that these particular spaces are underutilized. So whatever parking issues, perceived or otherwise, these are not the spaces that people are looking for, and they're not using them. So we could generate revenue by leasing them.
If I could, one last question. How long would these leases be for, and how often are we renewing them?
I have no idea. I do not recall that he stated that. I don't know. I have no idea. I could find that out. I have no idea how long the leases are, and I don't recall him saying that. Council Blair?
Downtown parking has always been a problem. If you've got these spaces and they're not being utilized, maybe they're not being advertised right. People that maybe they don't know they're there. But I would be adamantly against leasing any of our parking, city-owned parking, downtown to a private individual for any length of time. We've been fighting for parking downtown ever since I can remember. So if we got a little that we're not using, good. Advertise it, let people know it's there. And we want businesses downtown, what we do, shrink up the parking? So you can come downtown, open a business, but we can't supply you parking. Doesn't make sense to me.
Council Holmes?
Nobody seconded, there wasn't a motion.
Oh, yeah, well, I suppose we could just say we're having conversation at the moment. Want me to move?
Well, no, so we're just having conversation about the motion of this. Yes, this seems kind of misguided in the sense that we're trying to figure out the parking situation downtown. So it seems almost like one department's not speaking to another one in some ways. It seems a little fragmented to me.
I don't know if you've read the parking, I don't know if you haven't read the parking study report, I suggest you might read it. But again, the basis on which this motion or this request was made is that these spaces are not being used. So perhaps it is, we have to get the word out, but I don't think that's the case. It seems to me there's a perception by people that they want to park as closely as possible to where they want to go. Of course. Well, that's not, but that's not realistic in a city. Ordinarily, when you park in a city, you're going to walk to some degree wherever you want to go. I don't know of any other city where you can pull up to exactly where you want to go. So I do think we have some perception issues about what it means to have parking. But when I'm in a city, I do expect to walk a little bit. I don't know who was first. Councilor Bennett?
If I could, thank you. So I have read good chunks of the traffic, the parking study, and I have sat through some of the wayfinding meetings, and I've listened in on the conversation. I can tell you the issue with the garage and the reason these spaces are underutilized is there's a perception of safety here. There's line of sight issues, there's lighting issues, there's just a general feeling that you're kind of out of sight, out of mind, and if there's an emergency situation, no one can see you, no one can hear you, you're away from everybody, you're behind a bunch of buildings, there's vacant storefronts around you, it's dark, it's kind of dreary. There's a perception of it not being safe. If these spots are underutilized, we need to look at why. We need to figure out why as a city we have all this parking right downtown in a convenient location that's not being used, and address that first. And if they're still underutilized at that point, I would fully support looking at options to work with the businesses downtown. If they'd like to lease spaces, I'd look at them first for preference for their employees, and then kind of expand from there. But I think we're jumping the gun here, and I think it's premature, and there's more to come on this, and we need to really take some time with that study to figure out what we need to do to make that space usable.
Councilor Dolan?
Okay, forgive me. Can you remind me where these spaces are, which ones they are?
They're in the
Are they
Sanford.
the ones on,
First
YMCA.
First floor facing the church.
Yep.
yeah, so, okay. So I understand several of your points, Council Bennett, although the lighting, and I believe we invested quite a bit of money into that parking lot to make it more friendly, lighter, and I believe, do we have cameras? I feel like we invested quite a bit of money
In
to
Cuddy Court.
Right, to make, Cuddy Court cutting through, it's lit, there's new lighting in the garage, there's new everything.
$1.2 million.
Yes, I believe that, right, so that's quite a bit of money. Maybe I could agree with Council Bennett on offering to them, like if we had certain businesses that wanted, for employee parking or whatever, I would be totally on board with that. And then we also invested a ton of money for signage for our parking. The parking signs, and I don't remember what year it was, I haven't been here that long, but if we've all noticed, downtown, we have a ton more parking this way, parking here, parking there. So I wouldn't feel uncomfortable in that parking lot. I've parked in there at night and it's bright enough. I mean, I'm not gonna hang out and, take all the chances in the world, but, I agree, maybe we should find out if they are offering them to certain businesses along, North Main or wherever. But I guess that's the end of my comments.
Council Conti.
So the report says that there's 512 off-street parking spaces in the downtown area. And that's not enough. And I'm against leasing these spaces out because I agree with Councilor Bennett. I agree with Councilor Blair. I think these spaces are not broadcast enough, that the people don't know they're there. I use them because I know they're there, and but I'm a townie, right? I mean, I'm a city councilor, and I know these things. I think that to take, and I think Councilor Bennett or Councilor Blair said this, to take those spaces away from the downtown free area is the wrong message to the downtown businesses that are to give you an example, my wife likes to buy downtown these shakes, the fraps from
Creation Nation.
Creation Nation. And there's no parking for Creation Nation. If you don't park, so what she does is she texts Creation Nation, says, I'm coming to pick up this is Martha, this is what, and they know who she is and what she wants. And so she said, this is Martha, I'm gonna be in front at 12:12. And she times herself so that she's right in front of the place at 12:12. The woman comes running out, grabs the $20, gives her the drink, and Martha takes off. It's ridiculous because there's no parking spaces. Now, my wife likes to exercise, so she could park in the Sanford garage and walk to, I think that's what, a whopping 50 yards? But no one thinks of these parking spaces.
I agree, I never park in them myself.
Yeah, me.
Council Holmes?
Thank you. I think when I was talking about this being fragmented, this is coming down from our budget director. We don't know how much we're looking for these leases. If Catherine was before us, telling us that businesses are asking for this, they need employee parking, I would feel a little differently about this. Like, it just feels to me like there's a disconnect. Like a budget director is telling us that we can lease these spaces for what purpose, or what are we looking to do? So it does seem like there needs to be more work around this.
All right, so let me find out about the lease length, the prospective lessees, and then I can get Catherine Farrick's opinion. How's that sound?
Thank you.
Good? Okay. All right, then last up would be the marijuana stuff, Council Bennett. Good. Get out there. So let's start on page 24 with the original proposed language that we had started voting on, I think in December. All right, so this is where we are. So after the failed vote in December, Councilor Reynolds and I regrouped and tried to come up with an idea that we thought would kind of make everybody happy, which is the idea of the overlay district that we discussed a couple of times now. We have heard from the planning board, although we don't have their vote. Gary's informed Council Reynolds and I that the planning board does not like the idea, and they voted it down. So at this particular moment in time, I am inclined to pull the idea of the overlay off the table, get back to the original business, and sink or swim. I think we did our best, Council Reynolds and I, to try to appease all parties, but it's not happening right now, so maybe at a future date. So what I'm going to suggest is that we go back to exactly where we left off in December. Councilor Reynolds.
Yeah, so first, though, I want to make it a little clear about what we were at. And I think some people were unaware. I mean, the map is in the office. If you take a look at what we did for the overlay, Kathleen and I, with Gary Harasian, did the overlay. And you'll see that there aren't a lot of spaces that fit general business if you are going with what we originally proposed for marijuana stores. So even if you take the overlay away, I mean, Gary was for the overlay, which is why we went with it. But yet, this planning board is suggesting that we go back to full general business, just like we do with alcohol stores, the liquor stores, anything else that anybody buys or sells retail in general business. And most of those places don't even have 100 feet away from general business. We are, from,
Residential.
thank you, residential. So we already have that. Now, so if you did take a look in there, and I'll pass this around for anybody that didn't pick them up, take one, please, because it shows in the map what that area is and whatnot. There were several spaces on, there were several spaces that were on Newport Avenue, Route 1 and Route 1A. They actually were the most, and they were really, still it was hard for Gary to find some up there that actually fit the perimeters of what we were choosing. So there's hardly any of them, honestly. And he only found others on Pleasant Street. So, I mean, there are not a lot of areas in the city that fit what we wanted. If we went back and only did general business, remember, we were also talking about planned highway business, which is a lot of Route 1. There may not be spaces right now, but as Gary says, sooner, if they might open up, or you can ask somebody to move out, move somewhere else. You can offer to buy a building. These are the things that can be done. He says, so you have already agreed to plan highway business that would come out. The general business that already is on the overlay would be the ones that could be picked anyway in the general business area. So we wouldn't be doing anything different by going forward. The area that I think that Councilor Blair and Councilor Conti were, and maybe even yourself, I can't remember, were most concerned about was the downtown, which is central business. And that doesn't even count. We can't do it there. That's not one of the things that we're talking about. So I think if you take the time to look at the map, go through what Gary put together here, it doesn't change anything. We're basically only opening up really something like 8, maybe not even 8. I say 8 sites because there's different businesses that are there now. But, you might want to buy 2 sites, or you might want to do half a site or whatever. It would be up to whatever is, you can always change what the makeup of the lot is based on what's going on. And still, it will go back to the planning board, and they have to fit the perimeters that we have already set. They can't pick something. If they were to give them a special permit, we too have to look at that and decide if that's something, that we're okay with. So I say that if we're going to allow it, even on Route 1, we have to decide on general business, which there, again, I'm going to say there's just not a lot of spaces. Where the lots are very narrow, you're going to end up with, let's say there were 30 on that side of the street, because mostly the other side of the street going, so if you're going north to North Attleboro. This side of the street, the west side of the street, is mostly is
VHB.
mostly, planned highway business. There's very few general business lots on that side of the street. They're on the east side of the street. And there's not a lot that are actually large enough that give you the kind of space that you need. And those were the ones that we put on the overlay. Even Gary said, oh my God, he thought there would be so many more. And there aren't. So if we decide to go general business, planned highway business, like we were suggesting at the beginning, we really are opening up the lots that would be good for it. I'm suggesting that we either make that decision, look at what is there in front of you, what Gary put together for us tonight. And I wanted to say, a couple of people, if we do pass this, and I was listening to everybody tonight discussing, the lack of funding for the police department. One of my things is that, and thank you, Councilor Conti, for bringing this to my attention, and I want to thank Deb Gould for telling me. Fiscal year 2021, the city received $967,406.18 in revenue from the cannabis excise. Fiscal year 2022, we received $1,085,681.77. Now remember, we only have 3 stores of the 5 open at this moment in time. In fiscal year 2023, in the first and second quarter, a total of $510,766.23. So the total revenue posted to date in the last 2.5 years is $2,563,854.18. One of the things that, if this happens to go through, I would suggest is that we consider that money actually goes to the police department, because they're the ones that do the most work, kind of keeping on task with all the businesses, especially if they end up on Route 1. So I mean, I'm just putting that out there. If this is something that we give that money to, certainly to that public safety department, because they would be doing most of the stuff. So I just want everybody to be clear. I mean, ask your questions, whatever, because I think we've gone over this a lot. It's gone this way and that way, and I just want everybody to be really clear about what actually is happening. And then you get back to Kathleen.
Councilor Hilton?
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that, Councilor Reynolds. And I was surprised as well by the lack of area. And we also have to keep in mind that we're running up against our limit on licenses as well. So I support this, and if people are hesitant, thinking there's going to be like this free-for-all rush, that's not going to happen, because we're already running up against our limit. And then people also have to realize this is no different than a liquor store.
That's right.
You can, listen, you have to be 21 years old to buy alcohol. You have to be 21 years old to walk in there. You're not buying anything without an ID. These places, you don't see anything in through the window. You see nothing. There's no signage, Coors Light, all these different vodkas, all these different, sexy bottles of liquor. There's none of that. There's no pictures. There's no lighting. You can't see inside. You're carded twice before you even get inside, and nobody's out front peddling.
No.
Nobody's out front peddling, giving out samples. Nobody's doing any of that. So we are where we are. And to give up this funding, it paid for our gunshot detection systems.
I know.
For our schools. It's paid for a lot of things that we might not have had the funding for. It's coming. And so whether it's in North Attleboro, and so we're going to allow North Attleboro, Seekonk, Pawtucket, everybody to all get these funds that we're missing out on out of fear. I just don't think it's reasonable. I think that, we haven't, and then people talk about being near homes. Nobody's ever mentioned Terps. I don't know if it's because it's on the lower east side of Attleboro or not, but that's my ward, and there are houses across the street from Terps, surrounding it, to the left, to the right, across the street, but that's where it's
The
properly,
neighborhood.
it's properly zoned, right. So, it's not gonna, if we pass this, it's not gonna blow everything up and then we're gonna have a million businesses. We're running up against our limit anyway. So I just don't, I'm in favor of this. I don't know why we need to make it harder, and I don't have any concerns about it, opening it up.
I'm in favor of it too, and at the moment, I'm thinking of the people up on Frank Mossberg and the other businesses that are bearing the consequences of all the cars that are parked there and in and out, and the neighbors on County Square because of the traffic there, because we've put them in the corner over there. So I'm fine with doing it all too, because as Sarah said, practically speaking, when you look at the lots in South Attleboro in particular, there's not a lot that are going to work.
No.
It's most PHB that's going to work as opposed to GB. So Peter, I think you were next, and then Diana.
I don't want to prolong this any. You know how my feeling is about this from the start. We worked hard on this. When it first came down, the council was more or less in control of everything, right? It's worked out, other than some few traffic problems in the industrial areas. You want to put one on Pleasant Street, you got plenty of land in the old TI complex in there, right? You put a sign on the street, you can take a left. You have one that's not used. I go by it quite often. I don't see cars on Forest Street, and the one over there. I'm afraid myself and quality of life for the people in Attleboro that we've got called some names in the papers, about Attleboro. I don't want it to be called the pot shop city of Massachusetts. And I know that. Let me finish.
I just went like this.
Okay, let me finish. I think it's a deterrent. I have my own beliefs. You can do what you want. I know we worked real hard on it to get it where it is, and it was with the thought of quality of life in Attleboro. These people that come in, if you're making it convenient for somebody that owns a place in Attleboro now that's giving us this revenue, they're open for business. You want to make it easier for them. I just don't see it. To me, this is spot zoning anyway, I'll vote no right down the line, because I don't believe it's the right thing to do in Attleboro.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Holmes?
That's disappointing to hear. But to Councilor Dolan's point, we have even regulated what the landscape needs to look like for these places. We say, the shrubs can't be over 2.5 feet. I mean, we have really made it very defined what these places can look like. And Councilor Kobus and Councilor Julie Hall at the time worked on this, and we were lucky to get in early, and that's why we benefited from this. And so this is just the next step. We now need to take this. I am curious, when you said the planning department felt like it was not going to be in favor, what was the feeling for that?
They thought it should be an all general business, that we should open it up to all general business, because at one point, something that now might have something in it might fit their requirements, or somebody might go to them and say, hey, I'm willing to give you $3 million to move out of there. But they still, as when Gary and I and Kathleen looked at all, or as many as that right now we were looking at on Route 1 and on Pleasant Street, there's a lot that don't fit what we've already said, what the dimensions have to be. And so no matter what we do, it's going to end up like that plot plan that we have in the city council room that just has 3 sections of them on Newport Avenue, and that go all the way up from Pawtucket to North Attleboro. And there was a section of Pleasant Street that would have fit, where you'd have enough place to put it. And a few people looked at the map and saw it. So their reasoning is that it should say all general business. Because,
I'm sorry.
Yes. So basically, we're not extending any more licenses. We have 5.
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Terps isn't going to move anywhere. I've spoken to them. They're not going anywhere. Sahara, I've spoken to them too. They're not going anywhere. O'Neill Boulevard that is yet to even open up, they're not going to go anywhere after spending all this time and money to go. So we're really only talking about 2 potential spots that could possibly, so it's not like we're going to have 10 companies or 20 companies flooding Route 1 or flooding Pleasant Street or flooding anywhere else. It's only, right now, it's only going to be one and possibly a second one if that second one ever comes around. So we're not talking, and at the same time, I'm going to vote for this because I do not want to see the city lose the revenue that is going to be very important, because we're going to be seeing a lot of financial hardships if we losing any revenue. And that's about my comments.
Thank you. Council Clovis?
Thank you. And so I just want to clarify one thing. And so in Councilor Blair, this isn't changing whether or not these marijuana retailers are in the city. They're here, they're going to stay here. This is fixing where they're located. And in order to have recreational marijuana passed, we were forced to, it would only pass if we relegated these businesses, these stores to industrially zoned areas that aren't designed for retail stores. We're looking to fix that now, and there's a few that are already open in industrially zoned areas. By changing this, we change it so no more are allowed to open in these areas that are not planned and designed for this type of business. And any future ones are opened in general business areas or planned highway business areas that are designed for retail locations. The businesses that are already opened are grandfathered in, they're fine, they stay there. But this is just the natural progression. This is when the city planner plans the city, this is how things are supposed to be. Like, we shouldn't have retail stores in industrial zones. And so this is just moving things along in the right direction. So it's not whether or not we should or should not have marijuana retailers in the city. Those are my comments.
So Council Conti, then Council Blair?
I'll let Council Blair respond.
Okay.
You say only 5. Is that cut in stone?
Yeah, there's no proposal on the table to increase the cap. Not at this point. No one's proposed that. We're still
But
at
it
5.
can be changed.
Yep, we'd have to go through this whole
You'd
thing
have to go
again.
through the whole
Not
thing.
now, we'd have to introduce whole new
But other
business.
people would have to, it's not going to be on this council.
And you're still going to get a developer to come in, or a retailer in that industry that's willing to spend big bucks. So you say you only can put it here, you're not by the size of the lot, you can only put it over there by the size of the lot. Somebody wants one over there in this general business. They're going to be able to go to maybe 1, 2 property owners, 3 property owners, get enough land to build it, if it's that prosperous. So
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
you're going to be able to put them, they're going to be able to put them most anywhere they want in the city if they buy up enough property.
Okay, can I respond to that?
Council Conti, you want?
Thank you. So what Councilor Blair is talking about is called assemblage, where it's how Walt Disney built Disney World. It was all single-family homes, and he sent in a bunch of straw buyers to buy up all the houses and tore them all down and built Epcot Center. It can happen. It takes a lot of money, but it can happen. Council, I just want to be able to explain to the public where these spots are. So I identified them by the businesses that are there. So spot number 1 in South Attleboro is a triangle of land where Mr. Tux is.
Just for the record, Council, we're not talking about the overlay right now. We're talking about all GB and PHB in the city.
Okay.
This is the overlay.
Okay, all right.
That's the overlay. Would you like me to get a map that shows all the?
Yeah, I think the public would like to see what we're talking about.
Well, and I think what you're talking about, the overlay, the ones that are there are most likely going to be, again, those will be the general business sites that have enough room, that actually have.
That's where I was
That's where
going.
you were going. I
That's where I was going
understood
before I
what you
got
were
interrupted.
saying, yeah.
But I would like her to pin that up so that it can be seen at home.
No one's gonna be able to see that.
I don't think the camera's going, it's a
No.
small map. The
Nobody's gonna
camera's
be able
not
to
going to
see
be able to
that.
pick that up.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. I don't know if it's or not, but
Hitting the
Put
mic,
the overlay.
you're hitting the mic, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I took the overlay off. just
I
to
know,
show
but
them
that's
the-
where,
yeah, but it needs the overlay in order to
to
make.
show where those, here, let me
No
hold
one's-
that.
no one, the public's
they're not gonna see it.
not gonna be
see
able,
it, I don't think.
all right,
But if you want,
the public's not gonna be able to see this.
I think the public should be able to see it.
I know,
So
well, it
maybe-
could be in-
Maybe you ought to have another public hearing, let them come in and look.
well, because
I
we're
would
not
just-
voting for the overlay anymore, Pete, is what we're saying.
We're getting
just
rid of the
showing-
overlay.
There's links to this online. It's been online for,
Yeah, there
I
have
can't use a computer. Do you know how many people at home
Put
can't?
it up there.
I'm not, I know I'm a dinosaur, but there's a lot of dinosaurs out there.
Will you say it again, that this is not what we're discussing?
The point I wanted to make, Counselor, is that there's only four little red spots on this,
In the whole of the city.
in the whole giants of the city. One of the spots is a little triangle land in South Attleboro where Mr. Tux is. One of the spots is on Pleasant Street in between the new Taco Bell and U-Haul.
All that
Area
area.
of land
Yes.
there. Another one is a little spot that's way down by Interstate 95 that used to be Lance Buick Automobile Dealership. And the last one is way up near the North Attleboro border
Right.
where Friendly's is.
Well, and even more, it goes all the way to, from Friendly's south
Down
to
to-
Five Guys. So you get
All
past
the way
the
to
hill.
Five Guys, okay, yeah. So I wanted the public to understand that in the overlay district that we were talking about, 4 little pieces of land. And
Which even, excuse me if I might say, take the overlay off. And you're just looking at there's no other places, there were no, that we couldn't find, Gary, any right now that are even empty or large enough with the 100 feet that we have, or the dimensions that we have that they have to allow for, or the number of cars they have to allow for. That's why we're saying general business in general, and central business, we never even discussed that, that's not happening. That's
Right.
not happening.
so I like the central businesses off the table. And I recall when we first drafted this ordinance, Councilor Cooper and I took a map like that, and we tried to find spots where it could go. We had a very difficult time. We gave up.
Yeah.
We're not Gary. The other thing that I wanted to say, Counselor, is that in the last 2 weeks, a constituent who's not well had called and asked me if they could get a ride to Terps to purchase some medicated cannabis. And so on a Sunday afternoon, I picked up the constituent, drove over to Terps. I was the only car in the parking lot. Dropped the constituent off the door, went in and parked in the middle of this empty parking lot, waiting for, the constituent to get what they wanted. I think it took maybe 15, 20 minutes. When the constituent walked out the door, I fired up the car, drove right back to the door, picked up the person. 2 weeks later, the exact same experience, the only car in the parking lot on Sunday afternoon. I don't know how Terps is staying alive. Every time I go by there, there's no cars in the parking lot. I don't go by there frequently, and I haven't been by the others. And I understand there is a traffic problem down in the industrial park. So it's not the case that they're all doing well, but they're doing $2.5 million over 2.5 years. So something's right.
I share.
Something's right. The stuff must be expensive. I don't know. I haven't purchased any. So I'm getting to the point that I've come around. That what I've come around in is that it's not going to be in central business. That because the original ordinance was so strict about and I understand that can change in the future. But as it sits now, and because you're calling for a vote now, you're calling for an attitude now or an opinion. Because the restrictions were so strict in the beginning, we've only got 4 places in the city where it can go. So, those places are acceptable places to me. You know, one constituent called me and said, Richard, why don't you just take all Route 1 and just make all Route 1, just make it all marijuana zone? And I said, you know, I wish it was that easy. But it isn't that easy. And so, and lastly, I'd like to thank the two of you for the amount of work
Yeah.
that you put into this,
Thank
because
you.
it's very obvious that it took a lot of time,
Yeah.
and you brought me around. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Conti.
Thank you.
Because
I mean, I think
information makes a difference. If you put everything correctly, and you put it together logically, and you put it together properly, and you show what is fact, then you can change my mind. You can change anyone's mind. And thank you for doing it. Good job.
Thank you, Councilor Conti.
Just one quick one. And again, and to Council Conti's point, great job by the two of you for working that hard. Thank you very much. And just a quick one, Terps actually gets a lot of walking traffic. I've been at Terps, and I talked to the manager there, and he says he gets probably more walking traffic than he gets cars in there. And so that neighborhood actually likes it, benefits from it, and, you know, and is happy with it.
It's going to be really hard to get walking traffic on Route 1.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
no, it's not
happening.
gonna
That's not going to happen, yeah. If it happens, yeah.
You good? All right, any further discussion? So what I'd like to do is read the amendment as it stood back in December, and if we vote this out of committee, I'm going to go back and then strike the overlay from committee. And we'll move on, and the only thing we'll vote on next week, well, I guess we'll have to move on both, but this one will be the one. Is everybody good? All right, so I'm not going to read it, the whole thing, because we've read it before. It's the same as it was in December. You
It's
good with that?
exactly the same.
Okay.
Yes.
So on page 24, from the docket of August 16th, 2022, I entertain a motion to approve the following amendments to ordinance section 17 pertaining to allowing marijuana businesses to operate in general business and planned highway business zones.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, very good. Councilor Holmes, I'm now going to flip back to the overlay, which is on page, one second. On page 20. Yes. So on the bottom of page 20, Councilor Holmes, I'm just going to read that first paragraph and make it a motion to strike, all right?
Okay.
So from the docket of January 17th, 2023, I move to strike the following, that the marijuana zoning ordinances be amended to create an overlay district for marijuana retailers seeking a special permit to operate in general business zoning districts.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion or comment? All those in favor of striking?
Aye.
All right. And that concludes the business for this committee this evening. Thank you very much for a good, robust discussion. I'm glad we can finally move this forward and do right by the business. Thank you very much. I move to adjourn at 9:12.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Committee on Taxation is canceled.
All right, Special Committee on Classification Compensation, call to order at 9:13. All right, Councilor DeSimone and Councilor Reynolds is part of the committee. So I'm going to read, since this is really our first piece of business, I'm going to read back in September 20th on what this is about. For the docket of September 20th, 2022, to create an Attleboro Municipal Council Special Committee on Classification and Compensation with the focus to better understand current hiring challenges facing the city of Attleboro, with the end result being to ensure the effective, efficient, and high-quality delivery of city services through ensuring Attleboro is competitive in classification and compensation with surrounding communities. As part of this committee, the Personnel Director shall be asked to provide a report to the council about the current compensation and classification plan, the number and nature of current positions, vacancies, and length of those vacancies, projected retirements within the next year, and recruitment strategies to fill current and future openings. This was created by Councilor DeSimone and Councilor DeLucio.
Second.
Thank you. All right. All right, any questions, comments, or concerns? I think, Councilor Blair.
This isn't gonna go anywhere till we get somebody to fill the office up there.
That is true. That is true. But
Yep.
I think what we're going to get to is the next piece of business. That's-
Exactly. Yeah, that's just to tell about what this committee is about.
Yes.
So I don't think we need to vote this out.
No, okay.
This,
Okay.
That was, all right, yeah, that was
Oh, then
more
I
of what
shouldn't
it
have
was
seconded.
about.
My
Okay.
second was superfluous.
All right.
But may I comment?
Yep.
I'm excited in any event to be moving on this front.
Yep.
And we need to start somewhere. We're losing people, as Council Bear has already spoke to. We're having difficulties attracting and retaining not just our police and fire, but in general. So we need to really start thinking now about attracting and retaining staff on all fronts.
All right. All right, so here we go. For the docket of February 21, 2023, entertain a motion to appropriate $45,000 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 115-21000-530137 personnel classification study to hire an outside firm to perform an in-depth analysis of wages, benefits, job duties, etc.
Second.
Thank you. So basically, this right now is going to be for the exempt employees. And we'll get working on that. Any questions? Council Conti?
Very timely. It's also being done in the city of Taunton, the exact same time, the exact same thing, because they're recognizing that the world is changing quickly.
Yeah.
Back when I was campaigning for re-election 6 years ago, I knocked on the door of a woman and gave her my spiel about why I wanted to be a city councilor and where my concerns were. And this is 6 years ago, and I was saying there's 26 people in the city that earn over $100,000. And at the time, 6 years ago, that was a tremendous amount of money. It's not a tremendous amount of money anymore. And now the number is not 26. It's amazing what is happening to municipal employee salaries, and how difficult it is for the municipality to keep up with it. Because if you think about it, I think I once said that the school budget is 94% salaries. The city side, the number's a little bit lower, I think, but it's above 82%. When you start adjusting the salaries to where they're supposed to be, it squeezes everything else out of the budget. But it's got to be done, So to hire an expert to come in and take a look at it and give us advice is perfect. And I support it 100%. That concludes my comments.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passes. All right, that concludes the business for the Special Committee on Classification Compensation. I call for adjournment.
Second.
Second, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned at 9:17. Oh, I know. I think we're done. Oh, you want to sign up on it? Yep.
This is exciting.